It is unbelievable that we are already here in week 10 of college football. Welcome, everyone, to College Football Time with Avery Miguel. I am your host, Miguel Mike Medina, alongside my co host, Avery Jones. Avery, we are in week 10. Time flies when you're having fun, but we have some intriguing matchups. And the first one that we have to go shoot for is the rivalry Penn State versus Ohio State. High noon game, 12 p.m. Yes, even though we didn't see that Penn State have lost four in a row, and it's crazy the kind of season they're having. However, Ohio State, yes, they're in the lead. They're probably arguably the best defensive team in the nation. Matt Patricia, he has done a great job with that defense. But Ohio State, regardless, they got to keep their foot in the they got to keep their foot on the gas against Penn State.
I completely agree with you. Penn State is running on all cylinders. I think Matt Patricia, if there is an award for a defensive coordinator, I mean he's definitely a number one nominee for it. He has done wonders for that Penn State defense, and they're just working every angle on the ball. Um, you know, uh, this is really Ohio State's game to lose. I think Penn State going to the horseshoe. If anything, they're just going to try to salvage any part of their season. If Penn State just loses by a little bit, then you can say that they're trying with what they have. But I'm going with Ohio State all the way on this one. But I think that defense is going to put in a lot of work. So I'm going to have Ohio State 28, and I'm going to have Penn State 14.
As much as I want to see a close game between these two teams, but I think Ohio State is going to run with this one, 35-18 for
Mm.
this one. No disrespect to Penn State, but it's just that things have just not going their way. But this is one of those games that they could prove people wrong and say, we have nothing to lose. We're not going nowhere, so we're gonna crash the party. So it could be one of those things for them, but Ohio State, they're gonna come out fiery. I mean, Julian saying he's been having a great year. This whole entire everyone has been stepping up for Ohio State. But I'm still it is an intriguing game. It's a rivalry game. So no matter what the records say, is one, to keep an eye on. The next one we have Texas. I'm forgetting who they're playing Texas against.
Vanderbilt is playing Texas.
Yes, yes. Arch Manning is in concussion protocol because of what
Mm,
happened last week against
yes.
Mississippi State, which was an impressive comeback, by the way. But Vandy, man, like we said, Vandy, you want people to talk about you, win, win. So that's one of my favorite matchups of this weekend. But again, it all depends on who's going to be available, who's not, because right now, Arch Manning, to me, he's not looking 100% coming into the
Yeah.
game. So who do I have for this game? I would say Vanderbilt 23-20.
I agree with that score. We've said it for the past few weeks. I'm like, if you're not talking about Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt is just, like I said, they're just minding their own business, taking care of business, doing their own thing. They're doing everything they need to do, and they're playing really great football right now. And like anything, Vanderbilt now, a top 10 seed, they want to keep that momentum, knowing that they're playing Texas, knowing it's possible they will not face Archie Manning. Vanderbilt has like it's really Vanderbilt's game to lose. I think even without Archie Manning, Texas is going to try and pressure Vanderbilt's offense, and they're probably going to do anything they can to stop our wonderful baby boy Diego for the Commodores. So, this is Vanderbilt, and I agree with that score. I think Texas is going to try everything. I think Vanderbilt is going to try and get that offense, really going in the beginning, and then Texas is probably just going to fight back. But this is just a really unique game for Vanderbilt on the road as well. So I completely agree with you. I'm gonna go with Vanderbilt on this one, 23-20.
This next one is a 12 p.m. game. Very pivotal ACC matchup. Miami Hurricanes versus SMU Mustangs. One of those games that is circled for this weekend. Miami, after they lost to Louisville, I said they can't lose any more games. You can't afford to lose any more games. This is a very important, crucial game. SMU is not a team that you would want to underestimate. So, but I'm sticking with my Hurricanes. The U to win this game. 33-23.
I agree with you. Miami, from their loss with Louisville, they know they can't lose any games, especially in conference, especially in a dominating fashion. They need to win games. They need to not play down to SMU. They need to take SMU seriously. They need to not think SMU is not just some team that they can, oh, we'll just put up a few points and it'll be, a good day. No, they need to. This is a game they're playing on the road. They really need to go into SMU's house and just put up points. And they just need to keep the foot on the gas. Uh, I had said it a couple weeks earlier. I thought Miami had the best shot of finishing their regular season undefeated. That did not happen, but still, they cannot lose any more games. They are still in prime position for a playoff spot, and they cannot afford to lose any more games, especially. So I'm going with the U on this one as well. Miami needs to put a hurt on SMU, but don't be surprised if SMU gives them a fight either late in the game or right before halftime, and then Miami takes control. Carson Beck also needs to not throw any interceptions. Carson Beck needs to make a really great decision on, instead of forcing a ball to his receivers, instead of throwing it away. So if he can cut down on interceptions, then Miami is in really great shape. Their defense is doing a really good job too. So on the defensive side of the ball, look for them to get some takeaways and hopefully make some points. But I agree with you. I'm gonna go just on a lower end side for Miami score. I'm gonna go Miami 28, SMU 10.
Georgia versus Florida. Um, Georgia will be at the road, and this game is at 3:30. This one, it intrigues me as well. Florida Gators, as just like Penn State, these two teams have been, on an up and hill battle all season long. But I think that they do have a shot in this game against Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. For some reason, I don't see this game as a blowout whatsoever. I just have that feeling that whoever wins is gonna win in a very close fashion, and I hope it does. So, but I'm rolling with Georgia on this one in a high scoring game, 36-31.
Yeah, interesting. This rivalry game is traditionally played in a neutral site. They're playing in Jacksonville, which granted is not that far from Gainesville, but usually when they're playing in Jacksonville, Georgia Bulldog fans show up for their team, especially against Florida. So Georgia is in really great shape right now, uh, with their run game. Their passing is very adequate. That could work to their benefit. They just need to not make any mistakes. Florida, even with them nearly being 500, they do have something working for them. Even with letting go Billy Napier, I think Florida might keep have a little bit of a fight in them against the Bulldogs. But it's possible Georgia can just take this all the way. I hope Florida in the beginning their defense is patient. That way they can, be easy on the ball, make some take proper takeaways, probably knock down the quarterback, force the quarterback to make, some tough throws, let that Florida secondary, work some kind of magic. Um, I'm going with Georgia, but I'm going to say Florida's going to keep it close. So I'm going to go Georgia 25, Florida 23.
Two ranked teams, Oklahoma Sooners versus Tennessee Volunteers. I like this matchup. Mateer versus Aguilar. Mateer versus Aguilar. That's what I like to see. However, you know where I'm going with this. John Mateer, I like the kid a lot, but man, he hasn't been the same since the injury. But regardless, I see this game as a shootout. I feel that it's going to be a shootout. I have Tennessee winning this one 36-32.
I agree with you. I actually have a friend who will be attending this game, and the
Oh,
Tennessee,
lucky him.
yes, and the Tennessee game is also a dark mode game. So Tennessee is a very good team at home. So look for that Tennessee volunteer crowd just to get under John Mateer's skin. I think again, Tennessee, another team in good prime position. Like I said before, SEC is one of those very, very difficult conferences to play in, and they can really cement themselves with a real decisive win against Oklahoma. But I agree with you. I think this game is just going to be a shootout. Looking for a high scoring game. The over under I think is like 55, but I think it'll probably be upwards of 60. So I'm going to go with Tennessee on this one as well. I'm going to go Tennessee 35, Oklahoma 30.
Last but not least, and then I'll let you throw in some honorable mentions. This one is a late game, 10:15 p.m. Cincinnati versus Utah. Another fascinating one. I feel that this one right here will come down to making the right adjustments. Which team will make the right adjustments? Utah has been red hot, and I feel that they will continue red hot. I have them winning this game 19-14.
Yeah, I see this being a close game, but don't count Cincinnati out. Cincinnati is playing some really good football, coming in ranked. This is where College Game Day is going to be tomorrow. So I think that can work wonders for a school when you have ESPN on your campus. And granted, it's a late game. There's going to be a lot of hype in the school. There's going to be a lot of excitement for the school. And Utah is going to want to keep that excitement rolling for that program. And I completely agree with you. Their season did not start off in the best way possible, but they're coming back, and they're just chipping away, hoping to get in that ranking, hoping to, if anything, play spoiler, but also still play some really good football. And since they are playing at home, um, we're gonna go upset alert on this one. I'm gonna go with Utah upsetting Cincinnati. And I agree with you. We're gonna go low scoring and close. So Utah 21, Cincinnati 19.
And to conclude this preview video, what are some honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
I have two games that I think can be on the lookout. One is Virginia at California, Virginia ranked. They want to keep that going. Virginia, very, very good program, has a history of things happening on campus that they rally around. They want to bring the student body together. They want to bring their football players together. Virginia has is another school that's, playing under the radar, but they are going to go out to Cali and they're going to make sure they get the job done. Playing in the ACC can be hit or miss, so they want to take this opportunity and make a statement. I'm going with Virginia on this one. I'm going to give them 25 and California 20. And another game, which I think could be an absolute blowout, is South Carolina at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is in a good place right now. Even with the noise of job vacancies and Lane Kiffin maybe leaving Ole Miss, which I hope he does not, because like I've told some coworkers in the past few days, Lane Kiffin for the past few years has been doing some wonderful things at Ole Miss. And right now they're just another team in a prime position. They're ranked seventh. They're playing at home. They have South Carolina. South Carolina was in a really good position this year and has nothing but feltered. Now, Shane Bieber's going to bring anything he can to Lane Kiffin's team. But I think Ole Miss, this is a statement for them. And by that means they're going to be playing at home and they're going to run up that score. Like I said, sometimes at this point in the season, some of these games you just have to run up the score to let your detractors know that you are serious about being in that playoff picture. So I'm going with Ole Miss on this one. And for any Gamecock fans, I am sorry, but I think this is going to be an Ole Miss dominated game. So I'm going Ole Miss 35, South Carolina 10.
Yes, I really hope that Lane Kiffin stays in Ole Miss. I feel that he's right for Ole Miss and Ole Miss is right for him. I feel like that's a equal and perfect marriage in my opinion. So I really hope that he stays because when you have these kinds of distractions of a head coach vacancy in the middle of the season, which I never like that. I hate that.
Oh yeah, I
I
completely
hate
agree
those
with you.
kind of if I'm a player especially, I really hate those distractions. But I hope he stays and but yeah, but things are going well for Ole Miss. I just hope that he ends up staying there. But again, when it comes to the business of sports, we only know so much
Yeah.
because they don't only make decisions for themselves, but also for their family. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and one final game, I had turned my paper over. Indiana, Maryland. Indiana's sitting at number two. Um, Maryland had a really good start. 4 straight wins. They have lost 3 straight, but if you look at those 3 losses, they've only lost by, 5 or less points. Indiana is going to Maryland. I think Maryland is going to try to put a dent in that Indiana Hoosiers offense if they can. Now, Indiana played a really great game against UCLA. They just hurt them. They just hurt them. And Indiana is probably going to try and do the same thing. But I think Maryland's going to be like, hey, you're not going to come to our house and try and put up our points. I think Indiana's still going to take this, but I think Maryland will probably keep it close. Um, but if possible, this could be an upset alert as well. Like for teams in these high rankings, you don't want to assume that just because whoever you're playing, isn't ranked or, just has a mediocre record, you want to take, you don't want to, take them seriously. So I'm going to give this to Indiana, but I'm going to give it to Indiana close, but I'm going to give it a high scoring, close game. So I'm going to go with Indiana 42, Maryland 37.
Yes, the Indiana Maryland game is another intriguing one. I have Indiana winning that game, 38 to 34. So hopefully that turns out to be fun because I mean the way how they picked up apart UCLA, a team that was coming in with a three-game winning streak. That was just wow, flat out sensational.
That was a master class in
Yes.
how you decimate a team efficiently.
Yep.
Efficiently. Every time they scored, it was kind of it looked hurtful knowing that the Bruins were coming on a winning streak, but Indiana needed to do that. They needed to efficiently score enough points to let their opposition know that they are the real deal.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for our picks and predictions for week 10 of college football. And just to remind you guys, tonight is game 6 of the World Series. The Blue Jays have a chance to clinch their first title since 93, or we could have a game 7 tomorrow. But regardless, we having a competitive World Series. Avery, have a great weekend, college football and the World Series. And I usually don't use my phone on Saturdays, but I don't know. Let's see. Let's see. But regardless how the World Series goes and how the game goes, you'll most likely hear from me on Sunday morning. So be on the lookout for that.
Yes, one have a wonderful weekend. It seems like we just started week one, back in September. Now we're going into November, and there's a really good slate of games. There's even three good games tonight, as well as a whole, cast of games on Saturday. So everyone be safe, and enjoy the weekend and enjoy what it really means to be a college football fan during this time.